owned a Hilleberg Allak 2 for years, and I love that tent. But eventually it let me down in a way that I couldn't ignore, so I sold it. And in this video, I'll show you why I switched to the KUIU Storm Star. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the Sierra Nevada where I just moved. I know it's been a while that I've done a camping video, unless you count my Halloween special, which the algorithm apparently did not like. But it was fun to make nonetheless. Anyway, we're back to camping and talking tents. Lately, I've been rethinking the shelter that I trust for winter camping and rough weather. So today we're going to talk about why I sold the Hilleberg and got the KUIU. There's a lot that I liked about the Alak. It's very well built. The materials are stellar. The interior space is excellent. And it's a true freestanding 4-season tent. If someone told me they were camping above a tree line in unpredictable weather, I'd still call it a solid choice. It's why so many backcountry folks swear by Hilleberg. But like any good piece of gear, the Alak had one Achilles heel. And for me, it was how it handled wind-driven rain. You see, the Alak, like most freestanding Hilleberg tents, uses a cap-style vent at the top. So in heavy rain with strong wind, water can push up under that cap, saturate the vent fabric, and in turn drip into the tent. It's not constant, but when it happens, it's frustrating. And in turn would always make me hesitant to bring out the Hilleberg tent because we'd get these atmospheric river storms that come through, and those things are pretty rough. They bring in a lot of wind and a ton of water. So that's when I started looking for something that could handle the situation better. When it comes to tents, I look for a few non-negotiables, if you will. One that's going to handle rough weather, two that's quick to pitch, and three, one that's going to keep me dry when the weather gets rough. So after doing a ton of research, I kept coming back to the Stormstar. And honestly, a lot of you recommended it, so thank you for that. I only wish I would have listened sooner. It's a freestanding 4-season tent that by design should be even more stable in the wind than the Alak. This tent uses what the manufacturer describes as a double intersecting hoop design, where the main poles cross at the top and a third pole ties everything together for extra stability. And as a nice little bonus, it packs smaller and is about 30% lighter than the Hilleberg. But the big thing for me was the vent design. I needed something that could actually handle wind-driven rain. And from the looks of it, these vents should perform much better. But as a drawback, this tent might have more issues as it relates to condensation. And it's simply because the vents are smaller and therefore you get less air circulation inside the tent. Basic science. All right, so a few first impressions. First of all, the structure is solid. The build quality is premium. The stitching is all very nicely done. For some reason, the interior space feels slightly smaller than the Alak. I think the Alak had steeper walls, and this tent is more aerodynamic, if you will. So I think the walls aren't as steep over here at the top at the shoulder level. But for solo trips, it's perfect. I mean, you'll have plenty of room over here to sit, change, read, cook, watch Netflix without getting cabin fever. But folks, it is not all rainbows and butterflies. There is one big con with this tent, and it is the 2 clips that are right at the top of the tent. There are 4 clips total, but for some reason the 2 right at the top, they are, pardon my French, a real bitch to clip on. If your hands are frozen, ooh, man, good luck with that. The other day I took this tent out in freezing temperatures, much like a day like today. And when I got to my campsite, I was wearing pretty thin gloves and my hands got cold. I just could not get them clipped on. So I ended up going inside the tent, drinking a hot cup of tea, warming up, and then I got out and was able to hook them up. But now that being said, if you're not going to be riding out a violent storm, I think you could probably just, put them over the 2 poles and leave them unclipped. I think you'll be fine. One quick note before moving on, KUIU's tents use a waterproof coating that isn't PFAS free. Hilleberg, on the other hand, has transitioned their tent lineup, so if that's something that's important to you, then something to keep in mind. I'm curious, what is your go-to tent for terrible weather? What tent would you trust in the worst of conditions? If you could let me know down below in the comments, that would be awesome. So that is where I'm at with the Stormstar. It is not the perfect tent, like any tent, but I do believe that it checks a lot of boxes, especially in the type of weather that I'm going to be camping in. Now, without question, this is a true tried and tested bomber shelter. Over the next few months, I'm going to be taking it out and testing it in real Sierra winter weather. If you guys are interested, please let me know, and I'll be happy to put together a long-term review. All right, folks, thanks for watching, and thank you again to those that recommended this tent, and I'll see you in the next adventure, my friends. Cheers.